trying to get it, man. Get your tail, it's a different lane. When you playing for the winning team, RP to Mr. Wayne's. Bang, bang, we gon' win the game. Court crank, hit you with your pain.
I be spitting real, you be spitting backwash, yeah. So I'ma have to ask you all to back off. Hitters in my DMs try to hit me with the caps lock, cause I'm always beasting on the camera like the Sasquatch. Waiting till I blow, y'all gon' see me blast off.
Oh well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about the For Real Pro 2. Now, is it the For Real or is it the For Sheil? We will for sure find out.
Today's guest is a bit of a rarity. 30 years as a creative in hairdressing, now fully immersed in detailing and content. He's built channels, trained detailers, and chased perfection obsessively, all while dealing with anxiety, agoraphobia, and ADHD. Let's welcome the hairdressing detailer himself, Jonny Shiell.
I've been battling that now since 2007 about going outside, going out the house and going too far away from my house. And as we speak now, 17 years later, I've not been further than 2 miles from my house in 17 years.
So welcome. It is my pleasure to be talking to Jonny Shiell. I have heard so much about you. I have seen you on many podcasts. You have a channel of your own. There are some things, though, that I don't quite understand, and I'd like to get to know a little better, such as you are a hairdresser and have been for 30 years. Please talk to me about hairdressing in regards to detailing. How in the heck did you go from cutting hair to washing wheels? Let's talk.
Well, the ironic thing about hairdressing and detailing is they're so related. They're so relatable. There's the synergy between them is unbelievable. And really, this all started back in the day when I was, as a hairdresser, I was 13 years old. My mum bought me a set of clippers just because we couldn't afford, to go to the barbers every 5 minutes to get my hair cut. So I'm going to buy you a pair of Remington clippers. And this clipper set came with, a video, some clippers, and like the old school days where video, the young audience now are going to go, what's a video, mate? So, look it up on Google, you know what a video, you'll find out what video is.
VHS.
Old school, where we had tapes and videos basically back in the day. That's when we used to write love songs to people on tapes and stuff and record the radio. Stop recording on the radio stations, right? Sound like really old. Never thought I'd get to this point where I sound old. Anyway.
Isn't that crazy?
So I started watching this video about how to fade a haircut. And obviously my mates used to come round and at 13 years old as a rebel, I was smoking, drinking, talking shit as I normally do anyway, and just going bananas in the early days. And my mates were like, yeah, cut my hair. So I thought, well, I'll have a go, and started cutting people's hair and just did it visually and sort of after watching the video. And like back in the day, I was part of a really successful football team, really good at all sports, whether it's cricket, whether it's football, whether it was tennis. I was always, very, very good at certain sports. But the people I used to hang around with were really, really high performers, high achievers. And so we had the really successful football team that went unbeaten in our league, unbeaten everywhere. So I was around really successful people that was signed by top Premier League teams at the time to basically play. So from an early age, the competitiveness in my area was very, very high. So it just drove me. And so anything, whether it was a bat, whether it was a ball, whether it's anything at all, I became very competitive. So not being able to cut hair well really frustrated me, making my mate's hair all wonky. And so this kind of obsession about things started from a very young age. And I've always had ADHD without knowing about it. I was a generation where you were just a naughty little bastard, right? We weren't, ADHD existed. It was like, you're a knob, mate. You're a pain in the ass, right? Yeah. So we were just naughty kids that just got spanked, basically, gently, obviously. No children were harming the making of this adult, do you know what I mean? So I just had this curiosity from a young age that I can remember about detail in general. And so taking it to an age where I was 16, I couldn't wait to ride a bike, right? My girlfriend lived the other side of town, so having a motorbike was just all I wanted to do. So I took my basically my CBT, which is like a learner driver license to ride a bike on my 16th birthday, and the rest is history really. Like getting into like petrol, motors, whether it comes to cars, detailing, like washing my own bikes, modifying them. You know, I then turned 17, got my driving lesson, got my driving test very quickly, passed within the first month of my birthday, and got into cars. And just while everyone else was going out drinking, smoking, and doing very bad things to each other, I was out standing in the freezing cold talking to other men like it was like a sausage fest about what we're going to do to your car, mate. You know, oh, your wheels are massive. Look at your wheels. You know, what bump are you getting? Oh my God, that's amazing. That's gonna. What colour have you got? Oh my God, look at those shiny alloys. You know, so while everyone else is chatting to women in thing, I'm still outside in the freezing cold in some car park talking to some random dude who's like 3 times my age, like about what exhaust I'm getting next. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, the synergy between the hair and the cars has always been there. You know, we back in the day, we'd always always dream from 15 to 17 what car we was going to get. You know, that was a generation where you didn't just get presents every day. It was your birthday and it was Christmas, right? So birthdays and Christmas, like you literally, that was when you got your stuff. You sit there with your catalogue. Oh my God, I want that toy.
Circle,
right? Yeah. Write down the codes, fold the little corner over. Mum, don't forget page 72. You know, the Game Boy. That's my main present, right? So all these kind of things that, you know, that happened back in the day, you know, we would at least used to look through Auto Trader, which is our car sort of where you sell cars on back in the day, right?
We have that here. Yeah.
We didn't have the web back then, babe. We had the we had fucking catalogs of magazines that you look through. Not those magazines, by the way. We was only 15, right? Literally car magazines, right?
Yeah.
Where you look through. And used to think, what car would I get? How would I modify it? So from 15 to 17. So when you got to 17, I just couldn't wait to get a car. And like I said, the first thing you do is you drive to Halfords and you get a stereo. You get a stereo, you get speakers, and you want it to be really loud. And you want to, you know, you can't afford like alloy wheels. So you get these 5-spoke hubcaps on your vehicle where you look really cool. And I got a pink Go Faster stripe on this Mark II Astra, which was like this big boat that was a 4-door. It wasn't sexy at all. It was just a go-to vehicle. And so I absolutely loved that car. I loved it. Like, it had really horrible grey interior and fabric seats. It was so basic. You know, it had a tape deck. So you had your like massive pack of tapes underneath the seat, right? And so when your girlfriend got in the car, you had a little mixtape. Hey babe, how you doing? And you slap on a bit of R. Kelly. Does that make sense? Back in the day when you could play R. Kelly because you didn't realise the stuff that was going to come later on in life. It's a bit faux pas now. Does that make sense? But back then, R. Kelly it was romance, genuine.
Oh yeah.
You know,
sweat.
So well, you know what I mean. So like those days of driving around, that was my house. So my house was my car. That love for cars, cleaning my own cars. I was around a car crew. You know, going to Max Power Live was the first thing I remember going to. And then like when I was 18, I managed to get inheritance for like I inherited about £8,000. It's probably about $12,000 like in today's money, basically. And I literally took the year off just to basically modify my car, just drive around a lot and spunk it like an absolute wild thing, thinking I was like I was Andrew Tate, like a top G in this like Renault 5 Turbo. So yeah, like that kind of passion for cars and going to Halfords and kitting it out with stereo stuff and modifying cars and, you know, like cleaning them every week before the cruise was diligent, you know, buying like the mousse for the carpets where they had the little plastic heads on them that you'd spray it and scrub it at the same time to make it like, and it was everything was vanilla. Everything, magic trees were vanilla, you know, the smell of vanilla was everywhere. Do you know what I mean? That whole car culture, that whole petrol head, that whole, you know, that's when cars were cars, when you could strip down a carburetor, you could take the spark plugs out, you could change the oil, you could do all these things on cars yourself that you could self-maintain your vehicles. Now you've got to plug it into a PlayStation 3 or something, or a PlayStation 5 and literally diagnose every single thing. It gets hiccups and needs a tissue every 5 minutes like cars these days, you know what I mean? So that love affair with cars came quite quickly, and the interior of my car became something I was very passionate about, making it look really nice, because the outside looked absolutely awful, disgusting. It was a horrible old thing. Do you know what I mean? But inside, you know, cleaning it, using, I don't know if you heard of Autoglim. I'm sure you guys in the States have seen many Autoglim videos, but that was our go-to gold standard stuff back in the day. It was like super resin polish, hand polishing your car. I had one of these massive bonnets, right? It was about this big, and it had like 2 handles on it, right? And used to lay it down. It used to come this like your nan's wig on it, right? To sort of lay down like polish, and he literally held it like this, and it was absolutely terrible.
Okay, so a bonnet is like a polisher.
A bonnet is actually you know, like what you see in the movies where they have this like the woman with the rollers on her head, and she's got this bonnet on her head to hold them in.
Yes,
like that. It's like that, basically. Like, you know what they have for steamers, where like the terry towel's got like the elastic around the edges.
Okay.
And he literally
I thought the bonnet was a hood. In the
well, that's true. A bonnet is the hood, but it's still we still call it a bonnet for a so the bonnet goes over. So instead of a polishing pad, it's not actually a pad, because it's actually the actual machine has a sponge attached to it. So you have to put a bonnet around it. That's like old school days when people used to use G3 cutting compound, when they used to actually use water to get scratches out. They would literally spray water on the car to then put the polish on to mop it and stuff. It was like those kind of days where you used to do really aggressive, like heavy rotary kind of aggressive. But this bonnet was this thing I thought was so cool. It was like 30 quid, which is like about $45 or something like that. And I was like holding it. I was like, look at the gloss on this. It's unbelievable. You know, no decontamination process. What the hell is that? I didn't know what a decon. What was a decon? I got a few tar spots off. I had tar remover. I didn't know what a clay bar was. I didn't know what iron fallout was. I knew that like we had like certain products that used to bleed when you put on the wheels and stuff for wheel cleaners, but I didn't have a clue. And so that was my journey, really. So I've always loved cars. I then became more successful in my business, you know, worked my way up through the ranks in really, really, really high reputable salons locally. Like I said, the competitive side of me, I worked for Tony and Guy. I worked for a company called Harrington's. Was part of an art team in London and stuff like that, where we designed all the latest trends and stuff like that. I became part of the training team, educational manager, all those kind of things that I worked my way off. Everything I've ever done, I've always tried to be. It's quite sweet, actually, isn't it? You know, like when you're younger and you remember these dreams of what you had when you were 19, 20 years old, where you're like, I'm going to be the best in the world. You know, like, you know, you're going to do a job and you want to do it like the best you possibly can. Does that make sense, you know? The romance, it's so nice that you forget how romantic you were back in the day, about how positive you were, and how you had your whole life in front of you. Like, I can't fail at this. This is incredible. So I thought, what could I be what can I be as a professional? So I got into hairdressing. And so I used to say to my mates, I go, my mum wants me to get a job. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like 14 years old. They're like, what are you going to do? I said, well, I don't mind cutting hair. And they went, yeah, you're quite good at that. I'm like, yeah, but only gays cut hair, don't they? Like, it's gay men that do it, like lads and stuff. And they're like, yeah, they do actually. Are you gay? I'm like, I don't think so. Like 14-year-olds, you don't know if you're gay or straight. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't really fancy you. Like, I know when I walk down the street. So I went over to my mum and went, Mum, if I do hairdressing, am I going to be gay? She went, when you walk down the street, what side of the road you look on? I went, the woman's side. She went, you're not gay. And then went and worked at a salon. And my mates were loving it, because my mates were like buzzing, because they're like, I'm now working in a hair salon, getting trained. They're getting their haircuts for free. Bing, bang, bong. Happy days. So, you know, I kind of always had a thirst for being a rebel. You know, My mum and dad split up when I was 5 years old. I'm always very used to at that age. Divorce was quite a big thing back in the day, where if you divorced in your area, like, you kind of get shunned by the whole community. Does that make sense? So kind of quite used to being a bit of a rebel, a bit of a twat, really, if that makes sense. Because you're always like, you're so used to being on the outside of the fence most of the time. You kind of quite like it out there. Do you know what I mean? It's quite nice being a bit of a black sheep. So I kind of felt comfortable being like a little bit different, if that makes sense. So being a hairdresser kind of fitted that mold. And so, but I wanted to be the best. I'm like, selfishly wanted to be the best. And so whether it's the best cars, the best tools, working with the best brands, it hasn't changed. Everything I do has to be the best videos, the best podcast, best of everything. Like, I can't I can't buy something unless it's the best. I can't work with something if it's anything less than the best, if that makes sense. And so you start to realize there's a pattern in your life as you get older of how you operate. It's like mediocrity doesn't really interest me. Do you know what I mean? And as you get older in life, you have to make compromises. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Certain things happen in your life, right? Where you have things change, events happen in your life that you have to compromise on. You have to do things that you wouldn't necessarily do. And so these processes, these kind of techniques, these kind of mindsets, I think, you know, in this generation, it's very much changed. Like, we're very much scared now of everyone's it's all inclusive. And so as much as I love technology, I love the future, I love everything about what's coming next. It's so exciting. Like, AI just gets me like really excited at the moment. It's brilliant. Like, what you can do with it. Like, there's a part of me that sort of, you kind of feel like we're missing this. And I think, I don't know about you, but I'm 44 years old now, right? So I was raised by my nan and granddad because my mum was a single mum. So most of the time I spent time with. So I listened to a lot of stories about the war. And so that generation were war kids. And so their fight and struggle through the war and through those times kind of rubbed off on me. You know what I mean? Like, listen to their stories and be able to listen to people and talk. And so when you're around your nan and granddad, anyone who's been raised by a nan and granddad that's listened to this podcast will definitely feel different to most people, because they'll definitely be more aware of that they can talk to adults. They're much more socially less socially awkward, more able to talk. You can still be shy. But you've got an ability to listen to storytellers, if that makes sense. And I think in this day and age now, I think we're missing storytelling. You know, your nan would tell you a story over and over again, and every time there'd be a little bit added on. You're like, Nan, they're basically lying to you, really. But it's a great story. So there was only one fella, but by the time you're 18, there was 18 fellas, and they all jumped her in the bus stop, and she beat them all up. Does that make sense? No,
I totally agree with that, to be honest with you. And as a teacher, I see this firsthand, because these kids these days don't have experiences because they don't talk. They don't sit at a dinner table and have conversation.
Sorry.
So.
What'd you say?
Oh,
Sorry, were you talking to me? Apologies. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that's how it is now, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what it is. Everyone's at the dinner table going. What?
No, it's true.
Communication is really a dying art form. It's because it's the way we communicate now is done so much through mobile and text and emails that we don't actually know how to feel awkward and vulnerable in front of people. We're so used to broadcasting now, like doing a YouTube video with no one watching. Does that make sense? Like, there's no fear in that, because you can get really cocky because no one's watching. You do that in front of 10,000 people, mate, right? And it makes me laugh when people get on YouTube and they get upset. I only got 10,000 views. I should be getting 100,000. My video's way better than that, fellas. I don't think they sort of really realise that's 1,000 people is a lot of people to talk to at once.
Yeah.
You should be really excited if you get 500 views, 200 views, 10 people that actually care about your video and one person comments. It's like, it's absolutely, like, don't underestimate those numbers. Those numbers are correlated to a person, if that makes sense. And so, I'm getting on my little high horse here. Calm down, Jonny. Rein yourself in, big boy.
Honestly, I've never really thought about it like that. So I appreciate that insight, because I think I am one of those who, I only had 800 views on this. Like, that's crap. And I never really thought about it that way. So that makes sense. Every one of those is a person that spent time watching my video. So I love that perspective. Thank you.
Look, well, we're going to go. Look, my brain's going to go all over the place with this podcast. So keep up, lads. Right? Keep up.
It's okay.
Kristi's the first person to unlock this baked bean tea on the top of my head, right? So she's diving in there, and everything's just going to come spurting out, lads. So this might be therapy. I might even have a cry in a minute. So just hold your horses, guys. This could get messy.
Let's go.
Talking about going back to the hairdresser stuff as well, and how YouTube and how it all links together is, when you become a hairdresser, you become a trainer, right? You start teaching. It's mandatory, right? You have to teach. For me, teaching, educating has been a massive part of my life, because when I teach from a selfish perspective, I'm re-educating myself and laying down the fundamentals all the time of what's going on all the time. The more reps you do of the same thing, the more you talk about it, the better you get. And so, but all the top hairdressers in the world were teaching. So you don't even second guess it. You just go, that's what they were doing. They're literally, their job is to go around the world, stand on stage and tell everyone out there what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're doing it. It's just not the norm. Does that make sense? So the biggest problem for me is you want to be that guy. You know, I was the geek that sat in the staff room, watched every video, watched every haircut, learned it word for word, could recite it like back to front, upside down. No one tells you like that when you get to the next level that you got to do it stage in front of people. And then all the things you never knew about yourself come to you. Anxiety, depression, your ego, like fear, stage fright, like all these things you thought you could do. Now you got to do it in front of people. And I fucking failed, like hard, like couldn't talk, couldn't breathe, you know, nearly passing out, just couldn't do any of it. Like absolutely, like even thinking about it makes me shortness of breath because it was just terrifying. And then it's like a soccer punch because you didn't see it. It's that punch in boxing that you don't see that knocks you out. I thought I was just going to be able to travel the world and educate people and do this thing. And now you can't get over this hurdle where you can't do these things. And you don't really know why you feel like this. You don't know why your body's reacting like this. You don't know how, because everyone else around you is doing it really well. And you're sweating, you're getting hot, you're having palpitations, you're shaking, you can't hold the mic, you can't hold the scissors, everything's not working properly. And so, you know, we're talking about, this is in 2002, 2003, when mental health wasn't a thing. You know, no one talked about it. Everyone hid it. It was, you know, it was a complete shutdown. You know, if you couldn't do something back then, get over it, mate. What's wrong with you pussy? Get on with it. What are you doing? Does that make sense? Like, get on with it. So when you can't do the thing you wanted to do, you then do something else. You kind of have to pivot, right? So I went into the training side of it. I became like the backing singer. I did all the education and stuff and did training and went into the education side of it. So there's always, as the detailers will say, levels to this game, bruv. There's levels to this game. So
Definitely.
Like, I always love that phrase, don't they, detailer? Levels, bruv. You're level, best in the game, best in the game. But teaching really excited me. And so I went down this rabbit hole, training, teaching, and then that all changed. I got one of my co-workers pregnant at work. We was in a relationship, by the way. This wasn't just a Christmas do. Well, it was a Christmas do, actually, but it wasn't then that she got pregnant, by the way. A little tay-tar-tay. Listen, I might have dipped my pen in the company ink every now and again, right? But I was a good man. I was a good man, yeah? So we had a kid, and obviously my life changed. And, you know, you're a parent, right? You've got 4 kids. Am I right? Mm-hmm. You know the drill. Like, when you have that first kid, holy shit. Like, the way I looked at that woman after she had the kid, the day before I looked at her, the day after, different. Oh, I gave up my career. I gave up the career I wanted to be with my kids. I wanted to be present. I had a very indifferent upbringing, which is not about this podcast, but I wanted to be better than my parents then. You know, this competitive, I was like, I'm going to beat my parents. I'm going to beat this kid. This kid's going to have everything. This kid's going to have this. They're going to have that. And that drive, that changed gears again, where you're like vicious, you're like selfish, and you're like, I'm going to look after you as best as possible. But something catastrophic happened in that moment where, before my kid was born, she was born inside out. So she was born with a disease or a genetic defect called gastroschisis, where her internals were born on the outside. Oh, so God. we didn't know if she was going to live or die. Basically, is the real harsh truth of this process. And so that first scan where we found out changed my life, because from that first scan, I had the biggest panic attack and anxiety attack I've ever had in my life, because you go for 1 minute, so excited to see this baby and see this thing, and the next minute they're telling you, you've got to get out of the room, there's things going on. You know, it was just it's almost like a bit of a blur now, where I literally walked out of this room, super scared to go in for the first time, and anxious to go in, didn't go in. She came out, like, she was like, nothing's happened, don't worry. So I was like outside, like the old caveman walking around, ploughing around the car park. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The door was only like 20 meters away from where I was, but I was outside the room, scared to go in, like nervous as you was first time down. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then she had to go for a walk because the baby was upside down. And then we walked in. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come in with you. She's like, you sure? Like, yeah. Got in there. And then as soon as we sat down, they were like, right, let's have a look. And then boom, it comes up on the screen, and then whole world just starts spinning around. And I walk out, I get in my car, I start driving home, I phone my boss. She's like, I was like, tell her what's going on. She's like, holy shit, you know, where are you now? I'm like, I'm on my way home. She's like, where's Vicky? I'm like, fucking still at hospital. She's like, you better turn around because you're going the wrong way. Like, well, you know, it was that moment in my life where anxiety, all these emotions that I've experienced in many little episodes with the stage fright, with other stuff, just all came to a massive head. And unfortunately, off the back of that, I developed a mental health condition called agoraphobia, which I don't know if everyone's aware of agoraphobia, where it's an agoraphobia is basically multiple phobias. Basically, so I was scared back in the day. I was scared of lifts or scared of clowns, or not clowns. I wasn't scared of clowns, but I'm just. But some people are scared of things like, so with my ADHD and stuff and social anxiety and stuff, I became scared of going on buses on my own or certain things. There's lots of stuff that I got a little bit paranoid about. Does that make sense? So agoraphobia is a multitude of anxiety together, but this bullet in the gun was shot in that moment because it's not about you then, it's about something else that you can't control. You can't fix your love of your life, and you can't fix the kid, and now your anxiety is on another level because you can't fix these things, and you're now helpless and stressed out and strung out. And I'm sure detailers have a lot of these emotions and feelings because they live and they work on their own every day. There's a lot of detailers, you know, over 70% of detailers are working alone all the time. And so anxiety, judgment of others, depression, performance anxiety, just all these things are constantly writhing around in detailers. And that's the same as hairdressers. You know, these kind of issues. And so winning, chasing your dream, passion, and again, that moment again where you lose or you feel like you're going to lose something, the biggest thing you've ever had. And so this agoraphobia started to kick in, and then I just struggled to go anywhere. Like agoraphobia has a final condition where you can't leave the house. And so I've been battling that now since 2007 about going outside, going out the house and going too far away from my house. And as we speak now, 17 years later, I've not been further than 2 miles from my house in 17 years. Further than 2 miles? Mic drop. There you go. There's your little mic drop there. Yeah, there's your heartthrob. Play some violin music over that bit.
I mean, before we move on, your daughter, is she okay? Can I ask?
The ironic situation is the fact that if you know what you know now, she was born 2 weeks early, cesarean. They tried obviously natural birth, which is bizarre in that situation, but they do try natural birth. She was born, she had an operation an hour later. I waited outside the hospital for 4 weeks. I couldn't go in the hospital because my anxiety was obviously through the roof. Every time I went to walk through the hospital doors, I'd almost faint on the floor. It was horrendous. And so, getting to the long story short, I've got a great picture for you to show you the first time I saw my daughter where I look like hell. I look awful. I'll send you it, Kristi, just to show you, because you'll be like, you look fucked, mate. You look absolutely strung out. And every day I drove from work to and from work every day outside the hospital, just sat there in the car park waiting. And 4 weeks later, she came out, and she's 18 years old now. And
God bless her.
And the only thing she's got as a side effect now is she's got a very weak bladder. But apart from that, the scar was about that big. If you saw the photos, her whole body from here to here was covered in bowel. Her whole bowel was on the outside. From that moment, right, what I have to say is there's obviously like a sympathy side to the story, but there's also a positive side to the story. It was the last time I was a massive prick. I mean, my missus might have disagreed today, but she's probably still called me a massive prick. But the blessing and curse is like Batman with the bats. Mental health is one of the things that's changed my life and unfortunately had an impact where it's like a disability where I can't go too far without, you know. The interesting thing about it is that with my condition is Matt Morgan from Obsessed Garage is actually, I've listened to his podcast, I listened to what he's talking about. And ironically, he has the same condition or a similar condition, or his symptoms of what he talks about on his podcast. I wouldn't want to put words in his mouth, but some of the stuff I've heard him talk about in his podcast, and obviously Obsessed Garage, right? You know, my brand is called Get Obsessed, right? Because it's like, you know, those kind of things about obsessive compulsive disorder, like, you know, those kind of things about anxiety, all these things. So that's why I love watching Matt, because there's so many quirks that I have in my life. No, I don't drink, I don't smoke. You know, like Pan, the organizer, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, neither does Ivan. You know, like there's certain types of characters that drinking for me is not a good thing. You know, I've cut out all the things I can do because, like, to perform at a level, you kind of like, and when anxiety kicks in, you sort of don't dance with those sort of things. So Matt's a very interesting character on how he's become successful, because obviously he's a very talented guy in business before he even got into detailing, right? Very, very talented in what he did before. But it's interesting in what I'm interested when I do my podcast with, like, the man behind the brand, and I literally do, you know, the detailer and all that sort of stuff, because it's like interesting I want to know what makes people successful. I want to know what makes people tick. I want to know what their origin story is. What is it? Like Batman, like superheroes, all these kind of Marvel characters. There's a reason why people are successful, and like success isn't just something you get gifted. It's something you've earned it. You've worked for it, right? And so with my mental health in that situation, what happened was I realized that there was a part of me that created a massive amount of empathy, because I'd never lost. I'd been so successful for so long in business and things I did. When it came to hairdressing, I found everything very, very easy. Even detailing cars has become so natural to me. It's like, it's a joke. Does that make sense? Like I've elevated through this industry very, very quickly, very, very fast, especially in the UK with stuff as well. Now, there's a serendipity moment when it came to COVID, right? And so going full circle in this conversation where COVID happens, like all my anxiety, all my phobias, you know, like now I'm like a crackhead. Let's lock the doors. Let's bunker down. You know, like I've got a bloody saucepan on my head just in case, because it might help me with like beat the COVID virus. You know what I mean? Like these kind of things happen. But the beautiful thing happened. Go on. You can ask me a question.
Oh no, I was just going to ask. So you haven't gone further than 2 miles in 17 years. How?
You still there, Kristi?
Well, because
We're still processing that.
I am processing it, but my question is, how then do you find garage therapy? How do you get into? Is Maz your best friend? Did you already know him? And I know you detail cars. Is that in your backyard? Talk to me then more. How did that evolve?
Yeah. So that's exactly the perfect point where I was getting to is I'm locked down in the house, got a saucepan on my head, I'm beating my head, I'm not allowing my daughter to come round. You know, at this point, by the way, I'm a single man. I mean, me and my daughter's mum broke up when she was 3 years old. So I've been a sort of semi-pro dad for that long. You know, it's like when you share kids, it's one of those jobs. And so lockdown happened, had to shut down my business, you know, realised I only had one revenue stream coming in. That was hairdressing. Shit hot at cutting hair. Brilliant. Charge good money. Living the life. Could work 4 days a week, 3 days off, golfing whenever I want, doing what I want to do. Living the dream. Loving life, right? COVID happens. Business shut down. Can't cut hair. The ironic thing about this is my neighbour's car, right, was outside the front. He's got this beautiful Range Rover. Land Rover Discovery, right? And it's in this beautiful black fleck. Santorini black is like the detailer's wet dream. That's like the Julia Roberts of paint systems, right? Santorini black, yeah. It makes you look like the best detailer ever. And I was like, well, said to my neighbour, you know, from 15 yards away, I thought, I want to wash my neighbour's car. So I said, Steve, can I wash your car, mate? He went, crack on, mate. I fucking hate washing my car. So I was like, bucket out the shed that I used to plaster the walls with, a couple of towels, and I used the bloody hairdressing towels I had. I used the hair shampoo to wash the car with, and it was the worst wash. I'd have kicked my own ass if it was me back then. I've still got pictures and videos of it. And there was a moment when I was doing this car where my brain just emptied of all the noise. First time I wasn't thinking about where I was going to live, where I was going to die, whether my anxiety was all right, whether I was too far from home, social anxiety, all these things that I had that I was managing that I manage still to this day. I manage every single day. And it was like this weird therapy. I was outside in an uncomfortable position and I felt 18 again. And so what happened was in this serendipity moment is one of my hairdressing customers had his car detailed by a detailer. I called him online, reached out to him, I said, look, and he said, yeah, I mentor people online, you know, told him my story, told him about my mental health, told him what my condition was, had a really good relationship with him, like an amazing connection straight off the bat, you know. Not as good as mine and yours, Kristi, but you know what I mean? It's good enough, you know. Not like us, mate, do you know what I mean? Like, it was all right. But there was a moment where we just hit it off from the word go, and we had this synergy. I helped him with social media. He helped me with detailing training. We had this kind of thing going on. We became really good mates. So this process happened. You get that bug where you look at the car and you go, fuck, I could do it better than that. So then you learn a bit more. You watch YouTube, you come in, you're watching John Forensic, you're watching fucking Pan the Organizer, you're watching Paul Dolden Details in the UK, Specky McSporran, Car Cleaning Guru. You're watching these guys just studying product, technique, knowledge, product, technique, knowledge. ADHD kicks in. It's like hyper focus, study, write it down, speak, phone people, phone Stuart, ask questions, go round and round and round in circles, learn again, do it, try it, fix it, break it, go again. Clients are bringing cars around. I'm washing cars. I'm learning how to decon. Again, try again. My first decon on a Fiat 500 is like 6.5 hours. I've still got a video of it, by the way. Should do a review on that, by the way. Why did it give you a 3-meter hose to walk around a car for? It's like, what is that all about, Karcher? With the K2? Come on, pull your weight, for God's sake. And this love affair became it, but I wanted more. I was addicted now. Does that make sense? Like, now I was like, this is like, golf is like amazing to me, but I couldn't play golf anymore because of my agoraphobia. I had a bad episode on the golf course once and I could never go back. So I needed another vice outside of hairdressing, because hairdressing at the time was a bad place for me because I was locked in my house. I worked from home. I was cutting hair at home. I've got people coming around telling me all their problems all the time. I'm like, it's like my nan's died, my dad's died, this died. There's problems every day with people's hair when they're having your haircut. It's like you end up, as an empath that I am, you end up taking on everybody's problems. You end up having if you're an empath, you end up living their life. When they tell you something, you live it. You actually play it out in your head, and you actually start to feel like it, which is why mental health has become such a big thing in society that people are scared of, because they thought if we talk about it, we might catch it. Does that make sense? And so, like, I'm an empath, so I understand completely. You get it, right? Completely. That's why you were still stuck on the 2 mile thing, right? You're in your head going, it's breaking my heart. It's literally breaking my heart. So all of a sudden, my brain became clearer. I wasn't listening to the noise. I decided to start an Instagram page. Nobody knew me as Jonny Shiell Detailing. I was irrelevant. I'm offering my services for free. I can't work for you for free. I'm getting paid by the government. I just want your shit. I want your knowledge. I kept going to this place. It was like 1.9 miles away, right? And I'm like going there, and I'm like, get really close to it, and I can't go in because I'm shitting my pants, right? And so I have to go home again, and I'm like, I do this like 3 or 4 times before I decide to go in. And now we will stop for the product of the week. Garage Therapy's Decontamination Shampoo is a premium deep cleansing car shampoo that is super concentrated with advanced detergents, emulsifiers, and lubrication for optimal cleaning performance. It utilizes premium grade surfactants and high foaming action to intensify and tackle traffic film, grease, and grime. It is the perfect start to any good decon process for your vehicle. Decon Shampoo will strip a car of old waxes and synthetic sealants. It'll also restore clogged up ceramic coatings. Get yours today at thehouseofrags.com. Chris 10 will save you some change. The last time I went, the guy had the doors open, and I saw this beautiful Navara blue Audi in there, being ceramic coated, and this guy walked out, and I went, I know that fella. That's my mate. That's one of my best mate's neighbour. I said, I've recognised you. I said, is your name Jason or something? He went, yeah, Jason. I said, you know my mate Ross. Ross is one of my clients, and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, funny, yeah, Ross is one of my best mates. We go to Ibiza together. And that's so instantly, boom, I'm in, right? Yeah, I know. Ross, I've done this there for years. I'm a hairdresser. Oh, you're a hairdresser? Oh, yeah, I just started washing cars, blah, blah, blah. Back to him. Have you got any spaces, mate? So I'm looking to, like, do some detail. I was like, you don't need to pay me for anything. Well, he just started this business 6 months ago, working on his own. He had a Polish friend that used to go with him, that used to work at one of the high-end detailers locally, that used to work with him together and stuff like that. So he was like, yeah. You know, like, come down tomorrow and you can help me hoover and finish this car off. I was like, my daughter was with me as well in the car, like, and I was like, Freya, I can't believe it, man. We're going to go and detail a cars for a unit. This is absolutely gas, mate. Like, whoa. Like, Freya's like, oh, that's exciting. She goes, and she was coming with me, like, so turned up first thing in the morning, all dressed up, like, hoovering the cars, like, this is unbelievable. Like, so I'm used to washing cars outside the front of my house. So that happens. And the next minute, now I'm like, holy shit, we're in. And so I then decided to, by this time I'm doing live content, right? Before I met Sav, I was like doing my own live videos on Instagram. Listen, fast forward like 2 or 3 months after this, mate, and I'm like, we are buzzing. We've got the music on. We're vibing now. The cars are looking good. He's teaching me how to machine polish with ceramic coating cars. Things are really kicking on now with the business, and we're getting followers on his page. It's like we're getting traffic now, right? Because people are watching, yeah? And so what was great was I've always had a really cool sense of humour, right? A wicked, dry sense of humour. So anyone who takes me too seriously, more for you, mate. So I would always test my gags on him. And then I did this thing once where I was like, buckle up, baby, because this is what I used to do every single live, where I started going, oi, oi, like this. And I'd go, welcome back, guys, to Savs, and we're going to do this. And he would laugh. And we had this stereo system in there, so when he was like uploading a social media post, mine would come up and it would come through the speakers going, oi, oi, and he was like, mate, he just used to play it over and over again. That's what was funny. So because he used to find it funny, every time I did it, it started with oi, oi, then it went to oi, oi, then it went to oi, oi, Instagram, right? To that point where it became a catchphrase. Little did I know that this catchphrase was absolutely going viral everywhere. And so whenever I went live and I did my Instagram posts and all this sort of stuff, it was just the views, the followers. We were getting brands reaching out to us. It was mental. We're reviewing products. We're doing I'm doing online interviews with people now. Like, this stuff was just like, I didn't know what I was doing, Kristi. Like, I was just in it. I grew that into like the group of 30, and it just became a monster. The more people I had, the bigger the message. The mental health message was growing, the positivity was growing, the structure was growing, and in the end, it just became an absolute monster. And it obviously fell away in the end just because of the fact that I just couldn't cope with the social media stuff and all the other stuff that was going on in the group, the politics and all that sort of stuff that you have in. Listen. Everyone knows about the detail in politics now, right? Jesus Christ. Yeah. Holy shit. How bad the politics is. All I wanted to do was detail cars, have fun, educate people, train people, and all of a sudden now you've got beef everywhere. The garage therapy thing was ironic that I was good mates with Paul and Specky, who did the Paul and Specky podcast. There's a shameless plug for you lads. Don't say I never sort of give you any love. And so they were my idols. I got the chance to, they helped me through lockdown with their videos. I got the chance to become mates with them through the content I did. We became pals, best, like me and Paul were like best mates and like really great friends. And so there's people like myself, people like, I believe Pan, I believe people like, you know, Ammo, those kind of guys, always putting into the industry, like a bank account. They're paying in. Some will just want to take out. Just withdrawing all the time and not put anything in. Quick to moan, quick to disagree, quick to fight, quick to argue, but never put it back in. Does that make sense? And so, like, the garage therapy circle I was in I was lucky with Paul, Specky, their group. They were big garage therapy fans. Maz was obviously, we used to do a little show on a Friday afternoon where me and Specky would come on a live and Paul have a chat, loads of banter, lots. You would have loved that, Kristi, because the banter was utter filth, love, absolute filth, right? Old school filth where if you're offended, you don't need to watch. And so the garage therapy thing happened where I decided that I was going to do my product review business like Specky and Paul, right? And so I got into the product reviews and spent £100 a month on different products and reached out to garage therapy and Maz and back then I thought Maz was a massive cock, to be honest with you. You know, I told him it. It was always like always got like always new, you know, like that know-it-all. I'm a bit of a know-it-all, but like when someone else is a bit of a know-it-all, you're like, yeah. and also really good at it as well. Do you know what I mean? You hate it when it actually proves you wrong as well. Do you know what I mean? So, but I reached out to him and said, look, Maz, you do a lot of work with Paul and Specky. Like, I'd love to review your products. And he turned around to me and said one thing that'll always stick with me. And he said, I don't want you to use my products if you don't like them. I don't need pity for my products. I only want people to use them that are going to love them. Like, we're not interested in just people just using the products for the sake of it. We want people to love the products. And I was like, this is something that I would say. And so with Maz, when he said that version to me, I was like, this guy's different. There's something different about him. So got the products, played with them a bit. All right. Shampoo's a shampoo. This is good. It's okay. Like the systems, there's a lot of shampoos in the system, blah, 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 blah. And so I was like, well, yeah, they're all right. They're pretty good. You know, I didn't know a lot about chemicals. I'm still learning like the product review business. I don't really know. I've only played with a few chemicals. When you first use like Car Pro Elixir for the first time as a quick detailer, and your car looks really glossy, you think like you're the best detailer in the world. You think quick detail is like gold dust. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is incredible. So like, I didn't know a lot. I knew how to do the machine polish and the physical side of it, but I didn't know how to do what it is now. And so it's taken me like 2 to 3 years to really get the nuts and bolts. And obviously Maz has done an incredible job with me trying to unlock the code of GT. And so what I could see is he was very strategic in giving people the right information, that it was correct information out on the videos. And I was like, I love that, because misinformation is my biggest bugbear on YouTube. Like people lying, doing a video for the sake of views gets on my, absolutely pisses me off. And so I then realized that he was just like me, a massive freak who cared about the details. How I was a hairdresser, he was about detailing products. And so I was like, wow. And this relationship spawned where, you know, I started questioning some of the stuff he'd done. He pushed back on stuff. We had little rows, little debates, bits and pieces, but we stuck at it. In the end, we become awesome mates, because like I care about the brand, I care about the business, and I care about the details. I care about the consumer. I realized that these two guys at Gary's Therapy weren't interested in the numbers of the money. They were interested in the process. They were detailers. They were detailers that had passion. They were detailers that were committed to other detailers and trying to fix problems and solve problems in the detail industry that existed that no one had ever touched. And I found that fascinating, because then from a business perspective, an entrepreneur's brain, what you do is you go, these guys are onto something. I either can sit and do the other stuff, or I can get on board with this, because this fits how I detail. This fits how my business wants, how I want my business to look. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about detailing. I'm passionate about, as a teacher, I'm passionate about seeing people succeed. I'm someone I like to clap for people. I don't like to boo. I like to support people. I don't like to be negative. But when I'm doing a detailing video, I'm not there to sell you anything. I'm there to educate you. What I am passionate about is people using the right products in the right settings, in the right environments, and getting the education on it. Because once you start talking about the details, it becomes much more fun. You kind of think along the way that when you do help other people, in the end, it kind of like karma's real, right? Like it'll come back around.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I believe that the culture, the environment, there's a lot of great concept. Look in America, right? You've got some badass audience. Oh my God, you've got some absolute powerhouses of Humberto, DRK Dragon, these people that are just on every live, every video. I see you guys. I see ya. You support everybody. First to Puerto Rico is like a shit that won't flush, bless him. Humberto, I love you. Right?
We love you, Humberto. Absolutely.
Right? He's everywhere, right? And so you need these people because they support you. They bring you through.
Talking about UK detailing as opposed to United States, the scene here.
Finding it very different, Kristi.
I was going to ask you, has it been a challenge bringing garage therapy to the US? Has it been a challenge bringing your detailing style to the US? Because
very different.
You're obviously dipping into this market. So that's my first question. And then I want to know, if there is a first-time detailer trying garage therapy products, which are the gems? Which are the Easter eggs?
So we have tier systems over here where it comes to, you've got your enthusiasts. So you've got your consumer, you've got your enthusiasts, you've got your weekend warriors that do a little bit for their friends and family. Then you've got someone who goes full-time, who does who's called a valeter. We've got valeters, whereas a valet in America is someone who collects your keys and drives your car into a car park, right?
Yes.
And then you've got detailers. Now, how do you differentiate them all between each other? And I think Maz said this really, really well the other day on a podcast, which we've done on the House of Regs. Check it out. Link in the description. Literally, what he said was his processes should not differ from consumer to professional to detailer. It's a great analogy because a lot of people use a lot of tag words on YouTube for clean wheels like a pro, clean glass like a pro. The processes shouldn't be any different, but they are different because the America and UK do things differently. Now, when it comes to machine polishing, I think that the Americans have it down. Buff Daddy Brown, Mike Phillips, those guys they're old school, rotary, those kind of stuff, right? They're proper, old school. And I think machine polish in America, we've got different climates, we've got all sorts of different things. The car scene in America is way bigger than the car scene over here, right? So there's going to be differences. But when it comes to detailing cars, Jim White has spawned a huge generation of cleaning cars in this country that's changed the way that valeters are now. Our valeters, even valeters, they detailing now. When is the blurred line between valeting and detailing now? People are doing ceramic coatings on driveways. I'm seeing a lot of the stuff out there. What we're seeing from the YouTube content creation world is, I think a lot of them are valeters that put ceramic coatings on. And like I said, where does it differentiate between the two? I mean, the differentiator is if you're offering ceramic coatings, you're starting to prep the cars differently to what a valet would be just washing the cars. But I see a lot of these things over there with there's so many isms in America. It's mad. Like the marketing side of it. Obviously, you've got a huge tipping structure in America. We don't over here. We're miserable. You're super positive. There's lots of differences between Americans and Brits, right? And so, we believe you're never going to be successful. Over there, you're like, what do you need, man? I'll help you. It's completely different, right? So, we're completely negative. But the clay and seal just baffles me. The clay and seal. So, claying a car and sealing it at the same time, over here, you get your ass kicked. You never mechanically can decontaminate a car unless you're machine polishing it. I don't care who you are. You should be scratching and bruising and marring the car. Well, scratching is the strong word, so we'll dial that down. You should be marring the vehicle to clean the paint. Friction is your friend when it comes to clean paint. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Friction, right? And so when you're maintaining a car and washing a car, friction is not your, you need to contact a car. But every time you use the word contact, any contact on a vehicle is bad contact. But in certain situations where you decontaminate the car, any contact is going to cause some sort of effect on it, right? You're going to bruise the car in some sort of way, even washing it, right? So the clay and seal baffles me that you would want to mar a car and then seal it. And I don't care who you are. If you're claying it, you're not cleaning it. If it's not marring, you're not cleaning it.
I could see how that could be a bit controversial.
Well,
so
it's not controversial. It's facts. It's not controversial. It's not hype if it's true. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. So are you talking about to clay and seal like a traditional clay bar? What about the perforatic
It doesn't matter.
Synthetic clay towel? Did I get that right?
When you use a normal clay bar, Kristi, does the clay bar look clean when you finish claying? No,
I know clay bars are, especially the aggressive ones, those will tear up your paint. And absolutely no, it looks filthy, dirty.
Why are they stained? If you've done a proper decon where you've done iron and you've done tar and glue and you've done a water spot remover, why would the clay bar still be? Why would it stain?
Because there's still embedded contamination that you can't get off without the mechanical.
So if the clay bar or the clay towel is synthetic and it's not leaving anything, and it's not bruising or doing anything, are you actually pulling any dirt out of the paint to make it clean enough for when you machine polish?
Is this a trick question?
Well, is it? That's the thing. It's not, is it? Because it can't be. So it will knock off iron fallout. It will remove anything that's surface bound because it's like, right? If you've got like these and you start running something over it, they're going to get shorter, aren't they? Right? So they're going to wear down, right? But there's pores on paint that you need to pull stuff out, which is why we use the chemical and mechanical process. Don't forget, machine polishing is a mechanical part of the decontamination process, right?
Okay.
You can't get blackheads out of your face, Kristi, unless you use something that goes in the skin and pulls them out. What if you use just water to get those blackheads off, would you get them out?
No.
Would you, if you use moisturizer to rub your face, would that pull the blackheads out?
No.
So why does it work on paint? Why is paint any different to your face?
I see your point.
But they've been conditioned through marketing purposes that they're going to make use the word, as we use in garage therapy, process accelerators. But are they process accelerators, or are they shortcuts to try and earn more money and get off the job faster? It's a service accelerator, but not a process accelerator. It's a way of shortening your time to get on and off the job, that the car's been sealed. And so the car's protected, right? It beads. Woohoo! The car beads. It's definitely not as dirty as it was when you started, because even the chemical decontamination process when you're using acidic-based products, it's quite a heavy contaminant. That does a lot of the work, right? So with face creams, all that sort of stuff, you've got to do chemical peels on faces, all that sort of stuff. You've got to do some chemical stuff on your skin to shock it again, to get it to look healthier and look younger, right? And more taut, right? So this isn't like stuff. Back in the day, Kristi, they used to use brick acid on cars to remove water spots. Now we have water spot removers. The game hasn't changed. The point is the marketing's changed, but the game hasn't changed. Yeah, the process is still the process. Nothing's changed. Mike Phillips and all these guys that talk to you about the detailing process haven't changed their message since they first started detailing. They just have better tools. All that's happened is the synthetic clay bar is a softer version than the clay bar. You shouldn't really need to use a medium clay bar or a hard clay bar if you're detailing a car, unless it's had some really bad overspray. But even a soft clay bar will still remove overspray, and even a wall pad will remove overspray if you machine polish it. So why, when you spend 30, 40 hours machine polishing a car, would you then put a 5-year coating on it, a 3-year coating? Let's just say 3 year for the sake of if buts and maybes. 3-year coating. Why would you want to mar the surface or use a clay towel of any sort on a or even tar, and like I see people spraying tar and glue removers on coated cars to try and remove the tar, rather than using tiny little makeup pads to sort of isolate that area of getting the tar off. Like, that surface is so slick, so slick. The idea is that ceramic coatings were invented was to create a huge amount of slickness to the paint that makes removing the dirt and the contact angles of the paint so high that the dirt just falls off. That's why we get these beading, because the contact angles are so high. But don't get misinterpreted that beading is it's a great coating. Beading's beading. Slickness is a totally different measurement over the beading process, if that makes sense. So there are different things in America that I see that have become marketing strategies over what's actually visual. Does that make sense? And so, again, the same thing like we talked about on the live of Thor with spraying on iron remover onto the wheels and then layering it over with wheel shampoo. A lot of people do that all the time. They try and double dip. They using citrus and snow foam over the top. It dilutes the product. If you're using iron oxide from Garage Therapy, it's a really strong product. It's an absolute monster. It's brilliant and it's safe. Like, why do I use Garage Therapy products? It's because they're super strong and super safe, because the raw materials are raw. If you was to, Kristi, grow things in the garden and cook them yourselves, they have less pesticides, less stuff, less crap on them, that it's made from the ground, and you can cook it and you eat it and it just tastes different. The arms race in chemical warfare right now in the detailing sector is all about the raw materials. Synthetics over like pure substances, those kind of things, and how they're formulated is what makes the chemicals so unique. A fallout remover is not, just because it says fallout on it, it's not the same as another fallout. They are they're cousins, but they're not brothers and sisters. They're not from the same gene pool. That's why I stuck with Garage Therapy, because I realized that the YouTube sector is all full of affiliate marketing where you make money from the videos from selling the products, which is fantastic, right? Great. But we've lost our way on what we're doing. And so all products have so many nuances to them. If you learn them, like Labo Cosmetica, like GT, I'm not talking about consumer-based products that are already pre-diluted. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the professional range. Don't get your products modeled up when it comes to G-Technic, Labo Cosmetica, and Garage Therapy, and Car Pro and those kind of things. They are systems. They are professional grade products. They are dilutable products. They are have they have only so much lettering on the bottles that they can fit in, but there is a lot more product. There is a lot more stuff they can do. Consumer-based products are very different because they are basically pre-mixed in a bottle, made for people at home to just spray and operate. Does that make sense? When it comes to garage therapy, I've got sheets of data like this of different dilution ratios for different surfaces, different events, different contamination, different dirt, because I enjoy chasing as a golfer. When you start and you just want to hit it in the hole and you're just running around a golf course having a few beers, having a chat. When you get good at it, you want to then buy better clubs, you want to buy a better bag, you want to dress better, you want to become a member. That's all that's happened with me in garage therapy, is that I've got better and better and better, and it's a brand that never bores me now. So I found a brand that I can't beat it. You know, like computer games back in the day with Tetris. You remember talking this today with Maz? Is like, remember back in the day when you played computer games where when you died, you had to start from the beginning. You couldn't just respawn like Call of Duty back where you were. You had to start from the beginning. Like garage therapy has that thing where you think you've got it, and then they bring out a new version, and then it's like, holy shit, this thing is like that, but more. And so, you know, it's still a very new brand. And so I'm very much part of now. I'm very biased because Maz has now become a mate. I love their journey. The ethos of garage therapy fits me perfectly because of how I want to be.
So, and let's just put it into perspective here. I don't have technique. I'm just breaking it into the market, but I want to try GT products because I see them on Thor. I'm now seeing them with content. What 3 products? What would be my go-to as a beginner?
Well,
where do I start?
The first thing me and Maz are talking about at the moment that I think is really, really important, right? Really important. I know you've used Hades on the wheel for the wheel coating, right?
Which I love, by the way.
Outstanding.
It wow. Really is.
Right?
It's really great.
It's good. It's good, right?
It is.
What I'll say to you is, find me, Kristi. Here's a little job for you. Find me another brand out there that has the same amount of detail on their labels to how to use the products than garage therapy. See, anybody listening, go and find another brand out there that has the amount of detail on their labels. I know the answer because I've done the details, right? That's because Maz is a crackhead. Maz wants you to detail so well that he wants to make sure you don't get it wrong, that he writes down as much as he possibly can, but he can't write everything down. He can't market everything. The big thing about garage therapy that I'll be negative with, right, is they've got a huge reputation here, but people don't realise it's still a small business. They're mixing with Labo, they're mixing with CarPro, they're mixing with G-Technic, they're mixing with all these brands. Like, they've changed the way that detailing is done in this country because everyone's copying the wheel shampoo model. People are now using the word tyre conditioner for their latest thing. They have taken things that people have missed and just... Everyone was in a race of the best quick sealant, the best detailer. They've gone against everything that's in the norms and gone, we're going to start from scratch. We're going to start with free shampoos and we're going to redesign and try and question everything that we know and ask ourselves the question why we use it, and then we're going to do it. And then they've created these formulations, and then they've decided to give you the best products they could possibly buy. They don't even want you to use a lot of products. They even sort of say to you, and I say to you, don't use a lot. It's like superior strength products, right? We've got the best detailers in the UK using this brand that have used all the coatings from other brands and using this brand. And because they detailers that care about the details. And so that's why the labels are so full of best case uses, best case scenarios. Everything is, remember, is best case. It's not, you can go off bottle. So all the stuff you'll see as a consumer, you're going to love it because all the information's right there. The reason why these products blew up so quickly in the UK market was because they questioned the market, they changed the way people thought about it, they educated the YouTubers. All the consumers that use them don't know why they work better, don't know why they feel different, but they do. And so that's why they become so absolutely, they're competing on this brand. And so when you use the products as you have, Kristi, you'll find there's something different. You're getting value for money. Yes, they're expensive in America because of the tax and all the stuff and the shipping and stuff. But what you're getting is, look at CarPro Pearl, for example, right? It's 1-to-1 mixture. GT Trim's 1-to-4. That's 4 times, three times if you want to split hairs, right? So there's a lot of things that you can use. Decon Shampoo's king. You get the question a lot from a lot of people saying, why so many shampoos? Well, the reason why there's so many shampoos in the range is because you can use them in buckets. So wheel shampoo, use in a bucket, right? Car shampoo in a bucket. Decon shampoo in a bucket. Decon shampoo is a degreaser, a multi-cleaner. It's a process. Decon is king. That's what we call it. Decon is king.
That's
right.
Great.
It does everything. But name me another decon product that you can use in a bucket. You can't. So everyone now is bringing out decontamination soaps because Garage Therapy Decontamination Shampoo was one of its kind on the market that literally was a process accelerator that started to break down all the dirt and the contaminants on the vehicle. Very, very safe. Was mainly used to break down the mineral deposits and break down the dirt that was inside a ceramic coating. This wasn't designed for Karen's Fiesta down the road. This was designed for elite coated cars. Because if you fix the problem at the top end, it fixes the problem at the bottom end. If you work the other way around, it doesn't work, does it? If you create a product for Karen, you don't suit the detailer. But if you suit the detailer, it suits Karen down to the ground, if that makes sense. Look, I love you, Karen. I'm only joking, darling. Don't forget to phone me. But GT for me is a product range that they're in a position where they're detailers at first. They're protecting their own vehicles. They built these products because they wanted to make a difference and fix problems, fix solutions. Because, by the way, Maz is in IT, problem solver, big solution problem. So this infrastructure that came with GT, the synergy, now you know why I'm a GT fan, is because I'm trying to fix people's hair problems. I want to work with the best products. I've got the best scissors. I've spent money on this, but I want the best stuff. So why would I use other stuff where other brands' products don't meet all the requirements? We know that G-Technic, for example, right? Their quick detailer is awful, right? It's crap, right? We know this. This isn't a new thing to G-Technic people, by the way. People know this, yeah? Because there's a reason why they've changed their quick detailer to a different style of quick detailer now, because it's embarrassing when their own accredited network don't use quick detailer. They use C2V3 instead because it's pointless. Does that make sense? So what's the point in having a protection product in a quick detailer that lasts as long as C2V3? They're different. You want a quick detailer to clean the paint, clean the glass. You want to be able to use it on interior. You want to be able to... Anybody uses Garage Therapy quick detailer and they go, oh, it doesn't bead very well. It's like it beads well enough. It beads to match the same beads as their coatings. Look at the intelligence of that. The beads match the coatings, so that the synergy, when they work together, they work as a system. That's what a system is. A system is something where it replicates the base layer. Does that make sense? So quick detailer is obviously a quick detailer. It's very easy on, easy off. Leaves an amazing look. With a quick detailer, it's going to give you some serious gloss. It's going to give you some serious slickness. Yeah, it's got to be slick, isn't it? Because it's trying to clean. It's got some great surfactants in it, which you can use on, all parts of the vehicle, if that makes sense. And so these kind of products that you get are fantastic for those settings. So there's no point having Sigma and the quick detailer doing the same things. Now, there's some materials in there that share the same characteristics, but they're not the same. And if you've tried Sigma, my God, you know what I love about Sigma, right? Is that when you go and wash on the first wash, when you spray a dirty car and it beads like a ceramic coating underneath the dirt, you know it's a good coat. You know it's a very, very good spray sealant. And then you've got, on top of that, you've got CS. So basically you can CS and you can stack Sigma on top of CS, and then you can clean with QD. So you asked me a question, what products would I use? Decon is king. Yeah. Decon, you can wash the wheels, you can wash 1 to 10 on the wheels, you can pre-wash with it 1 to 10 through your sprayer, you can use it in a snow foam cannon, you can use it in a pump sprayer, you can use it to wash the vehicle, you can use it to do alloy wheels, tyres, engine bays, you name it. Every dilution ratio. Decon is king. Decon was created because it's for the professional environment where you can use it at many different dilution ratios. It's very, very strong. I've used it at 1 to 300 all the way down to 1 to 10. Don't want to go any stronger than 1 to 10. You could use it 1 to 4 on engine bays, but that is if you're really, really strong. You wouldn't need to. If you're going to start using it at 1 to 4, and you must be crazy, because then you're going to start having issues with plastics under the engine bay. Plastics are very porous. Those kind of things. You've got to be careful, right? So, there is a balance between. We don't want chemicals to get to a point where we change them completely, where they become so powerful that they became dangerous. Decon shampoo is king. Tire serum is king. anything you use in one maintenance when you're maintaining the vehicle. For the consumers at home, anything from the one range. You've got Zero, which is the cleaning range, which is the decontamination range, Citrus, Decon Shampoo, you've got water spot remover, you've got DMS, all these things are in the Zero range. The one range, if you're someone at home that's got products that they want to maintain their vehicle and they're just looking to just wash their car, because most people don't know what we know about decontaminating paint, so they just want to wash their car, you're going to be very, very happy with the one range, with one maintenance. If you love a bit of protection, the two range is fantastic. The two range is your old school products. It's sealants, it's waxes, it's quick detailers, it's that sort of stuff. The three range, like CS, it's
right.
It's new style protection, right? Ceramic coatings, blah 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 blah. Does that make sense? And so that system's in place for a reason. That there's that building system, just like you have in polishes, isn't it? Heavy cut, polish, refine, those kind of things. GT have had their 0, 1, 2, 3 because it makes life a lot easier because those kind of things. And so that system, if you stick to the system and you read the bottles, you won't need to go anywhere else. I promise you. You'll be more than lucky. And I think that's where I think for me. Quote me on this. We'll clip this up like Gary V in a couple of years' time. This is why I feel like with the arms race that's going on in the chemical industry, we're seeing such tribalism with products. Yeah, people who are tribal to the products, to Labo, to G-Technic, to Garage Therapy, tribalism. I believe the reviewer market is going to really, in a few years' time, is going to struggle. It's going to be not the same as it is today because there'll always be people reviewing products, but I think the education that's coming through, the detailers that are coming onto the platform, the size of the platform, entertainment is going to be more important on YouTube. It's not about the product. It's about the detailer. The detailers, Mike Phillips, Jason Rhodes, Ammo New York, watch their content. It's never about the products. It's about their skill set, their mindset, their ability to use the products, and the products are a complementary to the system. Does that make sense? And so I echo people to learn their trade, and the rest will take care of itself.
Prolific. That was way more than I expected, and it was beautiful. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for sharing with me because I know some of that stuff isn't easy, but I appreciate you. Absolutely.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night.
And you, Doug.
Bye.